The IVD industry is currently waking up with a massive hangover. After a 4-year adrenaline shot of pandemic spending, 2026 is the year of the great rebalancing. We've officially transitioned from the chaotic gold rush of 2022 to a clinical margin rationalization. Think of it as the industry finally sobriety testing its global portfolio. It's no longer about who can ship the most boxes. It's about who can survive the structural pruning of the world's largest healthcare engines. It's not a sunset. It's a high-stakes migration where only the most digitally armored players remain standing. The China ATM has officially hit its daily withdrawal limit. For a decade, MNCs treated the Chinese market like an infinite growth glitch, but 2025 disclosures show a macro ceiling. Illumina's Greater China revenue didn't just slip, it evaporated by $65 million. To put that in perspective, that's losing enough cash to buy every single person in a mid-sized city a high-end diagnostic kit every week. The China engine is no longer the lead locomotive. It's being re-engineered for efficiency rather than raw speed. If you're still forecasting 20% organic growth in this region, you aren't an analyst. You're a historian. When your main engine stalls, you need a triple redundancy backup. First, the geographic pivot, treating India and LATAM like the new alpha markets. Second, menu specialization. Selling generic flu tests in 2026 is like trying to sell ice to an Eskimo. It's a commodity trap. You need oncology and Alzheimer's moats. Finally, the digital moat. The reagent is the bait, but the AI software is the hook that turns a one-time transaction into a 10-year subscription lock-in. Section 1. The macro ceiling. This isn't just about regulatory friction. It's about the oxygen level dropping in the room. We're analyzing the policy walls that are forcing a total rethink of global manufacturing. VBP China's volume-based procurement is essentially the industry's Thanos snap. It has vaporized gross margins from a lush 75% down to a bone-thin 35%. This isn't just trimming the fat, it's cannibalizing the bone. To maintain your 2022 bottom line, you now have to move 3x the volume with half the sales force. This is why high-acuity specialty assays are the only remaining oxygen tanks. They still hold a 65% margin buffer. If your menu is generic, your margin is a target. The emergency exit for quick market entry is officially barred. Pandemic-era EUAs have expired, and the FDA is now demanding the full 510K ILMN test. Meanwhile, the EU IVDR is acting as a brutal filter. bioMérieux secured an early lead by certifying 80% of their catalog, while smaller competitors are still stuck in the lobby. In 2026, regulatory compliance isn't a department. It's a competitive weapon used to starve the laggards of market access. Geopolitics is now a core cost of goods sold. Being placed on an unreliable entity list is a $65 million penalty that no marketing campaign can offset. In 2026, a supply chain is either border-proof or it's a liability. We're seeing the rise of neutral sourcing, an insurance policy against trade wars. If your reagents are tied to a single geopolitical flashpoint, your entire P&L is essentially a bet on world peace. Section 2. The gravity shift. Capital is a heat-seeking missile, and it's moving toward new growth centers. Let's follow the money trail. China +1 is the new corporate dogma. MNCs are surgically cutting their China exposure to a sustainable tier of under 15% to avoid overconcentration risk. They are rerouting that capital into the America's cash cow and emerging growth zones, like India. It's like a pro athlete diversifying their investments. You keep the legacy assets, but put your growth bets where the regulatory wind is at your back. While Western giants are pivoting out, Mindray is pivoting in. They neutralized a 23% domestic revenue dip by engineering a 17% growth explosion in Europe. Their strategy? They aren't just low cost. They are high intelligence at scale. They're deploying AI automated labs in Europe that make legacy incumbents look like they're using dial-up internet in a 5G world. This is the new global outward benchmark. In China, local is the only ticket to the VBP show. If you're at Tier 1, just shipping boxes, you're basically a guest at a party where you aren't allowed to eat. To survive, you need Tier 3 or 4, deep localization of R&D and software. Siemens and Werfen are no longer foreigners. They are building a digital Great Wall of local infrastructure to ensure they aren't coded out of the system. Section 3. Operational moats. When pricing is a race to the bottom, your internal efficiency is your only shield. The razor and blade model is the ultimate golden handcuff. Danaher and Werfen are sitting on recurring revenue above 89%. That's not just a business. It's a perpetual tax on the healthcare system. In a volatile market, $1 of recurring reagent revenue is worth $5 of one-time hardware sales. If you don't own the blade, you don't own the future. Productivity is the ultimate diagnostic. Hologic generates $580,000 per employee. That's like every staff member generating enough value to buy a luxury Ferrari every year for the company. The industry average is $200,000 lower. This gap is the difference between an industry predator and a takeover target. In 2026, if you aren't automating your workforce, you're just subsidizing your own obsolescence. Cash flow is the only truth in a 10K report. BD and Danaher are converting net income to cash at ratios above 1.7x. Meanwhile, QuidelOrtho is carrying a debt-to-equity ratio that looks like a high-risk gamble. A fortress balance sheet isn't a luxury. It's the war chest that lets you buy your competitors' assets when their credit lines dry up. Section 4. The digitalization frontier. The future of IVD isn't found in a test tube. It's rendered in a GPU. We're moving from chemistry to computation. Welcome to the ecosystem-as-a-service era. Roche is no longer just selling a test. They're selling ClinRisk, an AI that predicts kidney failure before the doctor even suspects it. We are moving from what happened to what will happen. When you sell the future, you aren't competing on reagent price. You're selling life expectancy. That is a moat that VBP can't touch. Digital pathology is the next billion-dollar moat. Mindry's Vision A. I can scan a serum slide in 1.2 seconds with 97% accuracy. For a human pathologist, that's a 15-minute task and 3 cups of coffee. This isn't just about speed. It's about shifting the profit model from physical glass slides to recurring SaaS licenses. Software doesn't require cold chain shipping, and its marginal cost is zero. ESG is no longer a greenwashing brochure. It's a proof of life for global tenders. If you don't have a net zero plan for 2050, you are effectively banned from high-value European hospital contracts. It's a new non-tariff barrier. bioMérieux is using sustainability as a competitive filter to lock out rivals who are still stuck in the carbon-heavy past. Green is the new preferred supplier status. The 2026 IVD market is a pivot or perish environment. If you're an MNC, de-risk your supply chain and digitize your menu. If you're a domestic champion, the world is your laboratory. For the granular data and the full-page strategic report, email sales@hdinresearch.com or visit www.hdinresearch.com. Don't forget to subscribe to @HDIN230 for more industry dissections. The era of easy growth is over. The era of strategic dominance has begun.